After we've added our questions into the assignment, the next part of setting up a question bank assignment is your policies. The first thing to do is choose your dates. Do you want this assignment to be available or start once it's assigned, or do you want it to start on a specific date? If I don't want students to be able to start this until this coming Monday, March 16th, I can put the date in here, and then I'll put my due date. You'll notice you can adjust what time of the day. So if maybe, I don't want this available until after my class that ends at 9:50, you can do that. The first one here is I can choose my late assignment policy. If I click the little blue edit button, this is where you have the option to reduce student scores by a percentage for each hour or day late. And then the second option is automatically submit assignments on the due date. That would mean that you don't want any late assignments, and once that due date hits, students that have not yet submitted will be automatically submitted. And then here is where we'll choose what type of assignment are we creating. You'll see you have 4 different options, and the reason you have these 4 different categories is number 1, that's how the assignment will appear to your students, whether it's a homework, quiz, or exam. And then you can have different policy settings saved for each one of these categories. So for our example, we're doing a quiz. I'll just click on the quiz icon, and then I'm going to click Expand Advanced Settings right on the right side here. From here, I'll come down and click Edit All Settings on the right side. And you'll notice we have 4 different areas here. So these are the different policies or rules that you can make for your assignment. A couple things is if I wanted a time limit, maybe I only want to give students 30 minutes. Scramble the questions. This just means every student would get your questions in a random order. You can also choose a password. Next, I'm going to move down to attempts. So for attempts, we can do 1, 2, 3, or unlimited. Let's say we wanted to do 2 attempts. If I do 2, I can choose, do I want students to start over or revise the previous attempt? What that means is if I do start over, they do all 20 questions again, whereas revise, they would only answer the questions they had gotten incorrect the previous time. Moving on to resources, this is the different forms of assistance and help that students would have available. So this is pretty basic, just saying you would want them to see the question title, what's the point value of the question. This would give them access to the ebook, some general hints, or a check my work feature. Finally, I'll come down to feedback. So feedback is going to be dependent on the number of attempts that we've set. Since we have 2 different options for feedback, that means we have 2 attempts. So if I switch this to, let's say, 1 attempt, and then come to my feedback, I'm only going to have 1 option for my feedback. Looking at some of our different options here, you'll see there's quite a few different things. This third one is used pretty often in Connect, so that way students will get their total scores right away, and after the due date is when they'll get the detailed feedback. You'll notice you have the ability to hold feedback, so if you didn't want students to get any feedback until a certain date or a certain amount of time after your due date, you're able to do that. The nice thing with your policies is you're not going to have to do this for every single assignment. What we can do is save as default settings at the bottom here, and then click the blue button, Save as Default. So that way, when I'm setting up my quiz over Chapter 2, I just have to click on the quiz icon and all of my settings will be saved. To finalize this, I'll go ahead and click on Review and Assign in the bottom right. This last page is just going to be a summary of all the different settings that I've chose. So again, you could review policies. You could also review your questions. I'm going to go ahead and hit Assign right on the right side here. And then there we are, and there's my Chapter 1.